Hi, I'm Mark Stevens, author of Government Indicted: Adventures in Legal Land, and the website is markstevens.net. And the radio show is the No State Project, live every Saturday from 4 to 7 Eastern Standard Time on LRN.FM. And YouTube carried out their threat. So on this article, Jennifer Rubin, professional liar defending criminal organization, I'm talking about the Internal Revenue Service, I detailed some of the lies that she had told and included pictures. And the pictures are not in the article any longer because they actually bullied my web host and they were going to pull it down before I got a chance to defend myself. And the only way that they would have put it back was if I had filed in court. It would be years before I get the pictures back up there. And they're really not that important. What's important is that people know that Jennifer Rubin, who works for the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C., is a liar. And so if you click on the video, what you get is, instead of a privacy violation, it was the policy on harassment and bullying. Because that's right, little old me here in the fortified compound in Mesa, Arizona, I must be the one with a prison system at my disposal. And I'm the one who's forcing people to pay me. Oh, no, that's Jennifer Rubin. But it got taken down. So what we're going to do is we're going to, another article I'll have posted with this video, I'm going to just go through the lies that she has told. I discussed some of them here. I'm going to break it down, make it easy. So if you want to join me on a complaint to the Bar Association, the Washington, D.C. Bar Association, and the Office of the Inspector General for the Attorney General's office, then you may do so, and you can get a template off the website. I'll also have the entire brief. Where is that? So that you can see the evidence for yourself. There it is. Again, this is a publicly available document. This is not her cell phone. This is an office number for Jennifer Rubin. And I guess this Bridget Rowan is just as much of a liar as she is, just like Benjamin Wagner. They're all liars. They just, in like a video I posted today also about the IRS, they lie even when it doesn't suit a purpose. There doesn't even have to be a reason behind it. They lie. These people cannot stop lying. So what I do is go through here. And so one of the first issue has to do with taxpayer. So let's look at that. This is Jennifer Rubin, lie number one. She calls the victim a taxpayer, a so-called taxpayer, over 80 times in 20 pages. Over 80 times. So you can see here where the taxpayer failed. Taxpayer. This is a legal argument or legal opinion. It's really no different in form than alleging that someone is a rapist or a murderer. It's a legal opinion. We know that she can use first and last names because she refers to the aggressor, this predator named Evan D. Moses. Not his real name. I couldn't find any public information about this guy, which is too bad. But and then again, taxpayer. So we know that this is a lie. This allegation has no factual basis whatsoever. Because Evan Moses failed to provide a single fact to support the legal opinion. He admitted to me on the phone he wasn't qualified. In fact, we actually have the affidavit that he filed. Okay, so here we have the actual affidavit about the phone call from April 27, 2015. And goes through where I asked him for evidence to support his opinion. His opinion was that the Constitution and Code applied to the victim, and he said yes. I asked if he had any evidence. He's making a legal claim. Where's the evidence? He avoided answering the question and mentioned Montoya. This is Bobby Montoya, who also works for the Department of Justice with the professional liar Jennifer Rubin. And Montoya is just as dishonest as Jennifer Rubin. She's the one that initially did in the trial court supporting the predator Moses. So now he claimed that the question of evidence was outside the scope of what he could discuss. Now put this in context. Imagine a police officer saying the same thing about a ticket and a traffic stop that he did. I'm not qualified to discuss that. Such a question about the ticket I wrote is outside the scope of what I can discuss. He's admitting to not being qualified. He claimed he could not make a legal stance on behalf of the IRS and admitted he did the summons and claimed it was for a legitimate purpose under the law. How could he say it was for a legitimate purpose under the law and also say he can't make a legal stance on behalf of the IRS? That's exactly what he did when he issued the summons. He was acting on behalf of the IRS. Oh, my gosh. And this isn't bad faith. Hey, listen to this guy. He believed that the constitutional laws applied to the victim, and I asked again if Moses had any evidence to support. He mentioned some legal arguments which were not responsive, which is why I say they presuppose his argument was true. So I again asked, what evidence, not legal citations, not argument, what evidence do you rely on to prove that the Constitution and Code apply in the IRS's jurisdiction? Moses said it was not a matter he could discuss at this time. So I asked him why he couldn't discuss the evidence. He claimed it was because I'm not a real attorney, as if that has anything to do with whether he has evidence or not. So, of course, I pointed out I was an authorized third party. He already agreed to that. So he tried to shift the burden again to Montoya. Well, Montoya can only go based on the evidence he provides, which he has nothing. So he lies. Now, before we get to that, number 9 is here. He admits he was not qualified to discuss the evidence his legal determinations were based. He's not qualified. By his own admission, he lies. Of course, I knew he was lying. I even called him on it. He said we would have to be able to speak to Montoya the next day. Well, the next day he said everything would have to be done in court. They would not speak to us. He lied, but that's what the IRS does. They lie. They lie even when they don't have a reason to. So, remember the affidavit. So, now we get to line number 1. That's now saying he's a taxpayer based on Evan Moses, who failed to produce a single fact to support the argument. Jennifer Rubin knows that Evan Moses had no evidence. Her entire brief, as I've gone through before, her entire brief is nothing but legal arguments. All of it. Legal arguments. Powell, she goes, it's nothing but legal arguments. I've already gone through this. I'll provide this, of course, in the article. It's nothing but legal arguments. The law allows us to do this. The law allows us to do this. So you go through here, you can see how many times she uses taxpayer. That is a lie because, as we saw, Evan Moses didn't have a single fact. And quoting the Constitution or quoting the Internal Revenue Code is not evidence that applies. So it's still a bold-faced lie to call the man a taxpayer. Not a single shred of evidence. Now, let's go down to lie number 2. Jennifer claims that the victim made a naked denial of good faith. A naked denial of good faith. Well, we know that that's not true. There it is. Naked denial. Not only was a naked denial of jurisdiction, which was not true, it was a naked denial that there was good faith. We know that's not true because, as we saw in the affidavit, he didn't have any evidence. That was it. So the fact victim submitted a 2-page affidavit detailing the agent's failure to provide any evidence to support his legal opinion. Agent also admits he's not qualified to support his own legal opinion. So to say that it is a naked denial is to deny the affidavit, which Rubin agrees is a part of the record. She knew it was there. So she lies saying it's a naked denial. No, he denied that there was good faith, but it was because of the victim, it was because of the agent, his own testimony, his own admission. It wasn't just a blanket denial. When you say he's a taxpayer, that is just a naked allegation because you don't have a single fact to back it up, only legal arguments. Hey. So this is something she goes through a number of times. So it's actually more than just 2, because the fact that she calls him a taxpayer 80 times, those are 80 lies. Every time she writes that, it is a lie. So let's move on to lie number 3. The victim only submitted frivolous arguments, and this is, I keep going back and forth to this. This is something that she does all the way through this document, that he only submitted frivolous arguments. Taxpayers' frivolous arguments. only frivolous arguments. Well, let's look and see what frivolous means. Frivolous. This is actually from a law dictionary. I don't know why this didn't come out in scan. It should be bolded, but so clearly and palpably bad and insufficient as to require no argument or illustration to show the character as indicative of bad faith upon a bare inspection, as a pleading, argument, motion, or objection. So, what's important here is not that it's wrong, but it's so clearly and palpably bad to require no argument or illustration. This is why you want to use only issues of fact, because people like Rubin will lie through their teeth, and like I'll mention in the next lie, they will construe it falsely and claim that your issue of fact is actually an argument. See, when you raise an issue of fact, you could be wrong. There could be evidence proving a 200-year-old document applies to the victim just because he's physically in California. There actually could be, but there's nothing in the brief. Nothing. All she has is legal see, all she has are legal opinions, legal arguments, as if there's evidence these laws apply. Okay? So because you have to illustrate, you have to provide the evidence we say isn't there, that shows that it may be wrong, but it is not frivolous. So that is a lie to call it a frivolous argument. Plus, what we're doing, she admits throughout here that it's an issue of a lack of evidence. That is called an issue of fact. That is not the same as an issue of law, as we'll get to. See, taxpayer relied on frivolous arguments. No. She even shows Moses provided no evidence. No evidence. She's trying to go, like I've done in the past, to show that it's a frivolous legal argument or legal opinion that the courts have rejected. No. All those frivolous arguments are legal opinions, legal interpretation, not issues of fact. So that's another lie. So let's get to Rubin's lie number 4. She's deliberately conflating issues of fact with issues of law. Issues of fact are quite different than issues of law. Rubin acts as if res judicata and stare decisis are the same thing to avoid addressing the lack of evidence. Did I not Photoshop that right? Yeah, I left that little. Okay, it's lack of evidence. Her own brief just restates the legal arguments used, but not evidence. As we've shown here, she just keeps going back to arguments, legal arguments. See, it's all section. She just keeps quoting the code. She keeps quoting arguments. It's all legal arguments. So I want to point out, res judicata means the thing has been decided. That is, the facts and the law has been decided. So if you've got the same set of facts, they're not going to re-examine them. That's not what's going on here. She wants to use stare decisis, which is a prior decision. That's exactly what she's doing here by quoting things like Powell and United States versus Knoll or United States versus LaSalle Bank. These are legal opinions, legal arguments, such as this. United States versus McGann. Okay, I made the point here. They're not the same. You cannot quote a legal opinion to settle an issue of fact, and she knows that, and that's why she cannot produce any evidence. And that's why she has to deliberately conflate the two as if they're the same thing, and they're not. And she knows that. She is a liar. I mean, it is. Just one lie. So that's just some of them. That's just some of them. But this is sufficient. I've now gone through four main lies that she repeats quite a few times. So if you're going to join me on the complaint, then you may do so right here at markstevens.net, because like I said, I will post the documents so you can see the lies for yourself and so that you can sign the complaint and send it in. It will be to the Bar Association in Washington, D.C., and also to the Office of the Inspector General. I don't expect anything to happen because these people lie they just lie and lie and lie again. But maybe there's a shred of decency left in this Jennifer Rubin that maybe she'll question now. Maybe for the first time, someone is questioning her publicly, and she's actually seeing that what she's doing is wrong, and that she can't just say, I'm just doing my job. She's lying for a living. And maybe she'll get a real job. I don't know. But maybe if enough of us file, maybe it'll make some kind of small impact. I don't know. I know she cared enough to file false complaints against me with YouTube to get my what I just had it to get my my video taken down, and then I had to take the pictures down off my website. Yeah, there it is. She had to have my video taken down. But let's see what she does against the complaint. So hopefully at least they take it serious enough that she has to respond to it. But we'll see. And my name is Mark Stevens. The website is markstevens.net. If you disagree with what I presented here, you don't think she was actually lying, then let me know. You can present your evidence on a live broadcast or just post it here at markstevens.net. Again, the radio shows No State Project live every Saturday from 4 to 7 Eastern Standard Time, and I welcome your dissent.